Look at these euro banknotes. The introduction of a continent-wide currency, or a sudden spike in global interest rates, changes the purchasing power and debt obligations of hundreds of millions of people. We are taught that decisions on this scale are forged on the public stage. The expectation is that elected representatives debate the merits and hammer out compromises on a legislative floor for all to see. But if you look at the timeline of major legislative shifts, a pattern emerges. Long before a bill reaches a public ballot, rival politicians and corporate competitors often arrive at a uniform consensus about the necessary path forward. That consensus is built far away from the cameras. It happens in an ecosystem of heavily secured, invitation-only gatherings, like the Trilateral Commission or the annual Bilderberg meeting. To understand where the world's most consequential policies actually begin, we have to look past the public theater and investigate the rooms where power speaks entirely off the record. The attendee list for these meetings reveals a consistent networking pattern. Bill Clinton was invited to the Bilderberg meeting in 1991, 1 year before he secured the presidency. Angela Merkel attended in 2005, the same year she became Chancellor of Germany. These forums allow the Western establishment to evaluate individuals immediately before they assume major authority. When these leaders sit down, they operate under the Chatham House rule. Participants can use the information they hear, but they cannot reveal who said it. This shield allows central bankers and ministers to share their genuine assessments without triggering a political crisis. While the public sees a curated stance, attendees see the private reality, the gap between public words and private intent. When 150 influential leaders share this information, their worldviews synchronize, moving global policy in a unified direction. There is no need for secret laws. By aligning the minds of the people who run global institutions, the policies inevitably follow. The historical record confirms this exact process. Before Mario Draghi ever governed the European Central Bank, the architecture for the European Union and the euro was debated heavily inside these private forums. European federalists championed a supranational currency inside Bilderberg sessions years before presenting the concept to the public as a democratic development. A similar timeline exists for the financial deregulation of the 1990s, including the push to repeal the Glass-Steagall Act. During those years, the government ministers required to authorize deregulation sat in the same closed-door sessions as the banking executives positioned to profit from those new rules. Bilderberg is just one node in this broader global network. In 1973, David Rockefeller helped establish the Trilateral Commission to coordinate private discussions across the major North American, European, and Japanese economic regions. For monetary policy, central bankers utilized the Jackson Hole Economic Symposium. Here, Federal Reserve chairs like Jerome Powell signal major policy shifts to an invited audience, moving global markets in real time. These documented cases show a recurring path. The public democratic rollout was often the final stage of a consensus reached years earlier in private rooms. If global policies are incubated here, why does the mainstream press ignore these gatherings while obsessing over more performative summits? The answer lies in a structural conflict of interest. The media executives and editors who decide what constitutes front-page news are themselves participants in these private meetings. Furthermore, the investment banks and tech giants that own major media organizations are also represented. These outlets have institutional reasons not to investigate the private gatherings of their own corporate owners. Structural analysis reveals a motivation more mundane than the dramatic plots found in conspiracy theories. Human elites simply prefer the immense efficiency of coordinating massive global decisions without the messy, grinding friction of democratic oversight. Acknowledging this coordination is a requirement for transparency and a necessary condition for informed citizenship in a world shaped by private rooms.